Alright, welcome to a prickly pear subject video here. We're going to be discussing rejection and how rejection has impacted my life, how it may have impacted your life. I usually don't make these kind of videos anymore, but I feel that, P&W Elevator's Speaking Out video, great series, check it out. And I really would like to see him do a similar video on rejection. Rejection sucks, plain and simple. And when you have mental illness, when you were born with mental illness, you experience a lot of rejection in your life because of that mental illness. Most recently, I'm experiencing that rejection when it comes to trying to find an apartment in a neighborhood I'd like to live in. In the past, I've experienced that rejection when it comes to girls, when it comes to looking for women. It is a sad state of affairs when you've gone through a lot of rejection in your life, and through no fault of your own, just because you're different, because you have mental illness. I was born with this disease. This is not something that I chose to have. I was born with it. And I've come to realize now that I think some of this disease may have something. My mom, let me just tell you a little story. My mom passed away from breast cancer back in 2000. I know it's been like 17 years already. I still miss her a great deal. She was literally the most important thing in my life. And she fought breast cancer for many years. And she grew up in Levittown. And when she moved to Levittown with her parents, Levittown had just been built. And Levittown was built on potato fields. And they used a lot of pesticides in those potato fields. And when they first moved to Levittown, they got drinking water, and there was no city water. They used well water. And those pesticides literally probably gave my mom cancer, all right? Because they were literally on our street. There were like 4 or 5 other people that had cancer on our street, and it was not a big street. So I think that my mental illness may have something to do with that, genetic defect or whatever it may be. I hope and pray that I have a healthy life and that I can live longer than my mom, hopefully. Because she died way too young. She was only 50. All right. Most of the other people in my family don't have cancer. It's just her. But mental illness could be, from that. And I just want to put that out there because to show you that it's through no fault of my own that I have this disease. I was born with it. I had a lot of problems when I was a kid, and I've come a long way from being afraid to go out on my own, being afraid to look other people in the eye, being afraid to, talk, or I was developmentally delayed. I have autistic tendencies, all these conditions and problems. All right, so through no fault of my own, I've had this. So in life, I've experienced a lot of rejection because of that. Especially when it came to girls. I've only had one girlfriend my whole life, and my last girlfriend was when I was 16 years old. All right. Since then, women have rejected me. They've seen that I'm disabled. They see that I don't work, and they want to have nothing to do with me because of that. And then you add that in the fact that, well, because I'm short, because I'm not a tall guy, women are drawn to these tall guys. That I don't deserve to have. They're drawn to these tall guys. And they're drawn to guys with money, and. Yeah, this is a difficult subject for me to talk about, but I think it needs to be talked about because I'm sure there are a lot of other guys going through the same thing. And rejection, especially when you're rejected because of something like mental illness, is ridiculous. And I've said it before, and I think P&W brought this up. High school never ends. All right, you may leave high school and think high school is over, but high school is literally with you your entire life because you get rejected time and time again. To everything in your life, whether it be rejected for a job, rejected for a girlfriend, rejected for an apartment just because you're different. All right, and in my case, in this latest rejection I've experienced with trying to look for an apartment is very, very painful. People have said they look at me and they say, well, you're in a program. We're not going to rent to you because you're in a program. You're mentally ill. You're not one of us. You're not working every day. Therefore, you don't deserve to live in a safe neighborhood. You have to pick between the lower income, more depressing neighborhoods on Long Island. We're not going to allow you to live in a neighborhood with successful people because you're not successful. You're mentally disabled, so therefore you don't deserve to have happiness. And this is the kind of attitude that I've experienced. And it's extremely painful because it stirs up all those emotions of girls rejecting me, I'm ridiculously shy, so I rarely approach women, all right? But all the girls that have, I think it was like 2 or 3 girls that I've tried to get involved with, sometimes they're nice to you in the beginning, but then when it comes to that you're interested in something a little more, they quickly like, well, no, they like that, they don't want to really have anything to do with you. So, I mean, they act like I'm a hideous person or something, most of these girls. I don't think I'm hideous at all. You know what I mean? I think, even though I may be disabled, I think I have a lot to offer people, and I honestly do believe that people, I'm not going to deny, I think that I have some autism, all right? And I know PNW has talked about this, and I've found that autistic people or people who have autistic tendencies generally seem to be more intelligent than the rest of the population. They see things that regular people just don't see, and I think that people are underestimate us constantly. Yes, I may have all this stress and all this disease and I may not be able to work, but they should take to heart and pay attention to what I talk about instead of just laughing it off as this guy is crazy. If I talk about some issues on Long Island, or I used to be involved in various internet forums and such as City Data and even some Facebook pages, and people would underestimate what I had to say. They'd say, oh, he's racist, he's mentally ill, ignore him, he's just mentally ill, so what he says means nothing. Forget about the all the things he talks about with Long Island, all the dichotomy and all the discrimination and all. Just forget about all that. He's mentally ill, so therefore it doesn't make any sense. That's the kind of attitude I have to deal with. And then we have the attitude like, well, he's mentally ill, he doesn't deserve to live. You don't know how heartbreaking it is. And this is probably it's one thing when you're looking for a woman. Yeah, I believe that every man needs a woman. But I think that something as safe housing in a neighborhood that you feel comfortable, and that's a right. All right, that's having a girlfriend is not really a right, but certainly the other thing is. And I think that it really has hurt my feelings a great deal, these people. And that's why in a lot of my videos over the past couple of years, I've called these people snobs. I've called them out because they are breaking my heart. All right, they are breaking my heart. These professionals getting off the train and all these people in these decent towns, they're breaking my heart by saying you're not allowed to be with us because you don't work. You're mentally disabled. We don't want you in our community because you're going to bring problems. Somehow they have this idea that because I'm disabled and have mental illness that I'm going to bring problems. Excuse me, I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never done drugs. I've never had a drink, and I never will. I don't believe in drinking alcohol, all right? I've never committed a crime. I'm not a violent person. People see the news, and the news always has negative stories about the mentally ill, trying to paint all mentally ill people as people who are violent. That's certainly not the case at all. I think that if you take a look at crime, I would really like to take a look at crime rates, and I bet that the crime rates among the mentally ill are probably lower than the crime rates of the non-mentally ill. All right, so we got to cut that crap out right now, all right? But I have this, experienced this rejection. I'm being rejected from towns. I was rejected from Belmore. I was rejected from all these towns. That I wanted. At first, I was looking at Belmore, or they rejected me there. Then I was looking at, Merrick or Massapequa Park. They rejected me there. Then I was looking at Mineola. Well, they rejected me there. And I'm looking at Farmingdale. They're rejecting me there. So all these towns are rejecting me because of my illness. All right, and Long Island is probably one of the worst places for a mentally ill. Somebody in a position at my clinic told me that Long Island is probably one of the worst places for people with mentally ill who need housing because of the discrimination, because of the poor attitudes. But yet, Long Island is my home. Why should I have to leave? Why should I have to be the one to sacrifice yet again because of these rich people that think that they have their noses in the air? They think that their shit doesn't stink, and they think they can just take over everything and drive out the poor and the minorities and the mentally ill off Long Island that have lived here for many, many years, and forcing us to live in neglected communities. No, it's not right. It's not right at all. And yeah, it breaks my heart. The rejection really breaks my heart, and it really just, I've been extremely depressed. Now, I suffer from depression, anxiety disorder, irritable bowel syndrome, all these problems that I don't even want to get into. But I suffer from all these things. And people just judge me because of that. They don't understand that I can't help it. I can't help it. This is a disability, just like a physical disability is. Some people will have it and go out and work, some people can't. It depends on their condition, it depends on what they're going through, and it also depends on their environment. And when you're in an environment that's keeping you down, it just makes you so depressed, and you have this time and time again of being denied things because of your disability, and the rejection it's just ridiculous. The rejection is ridiculous, that we have to be rejected time and time again because of it. And these towns, I'm sure there's plenty of good people in these towns that I want to move to. I'm sure of it. But seems to be something in the real estate industry that is programmed into a lot of these real estate agencies and a lot of these landlords that say mental ill is bad, programs are bad, poor is bad, rich is good, white is good. And yeah, a lot of it, there's a race component involved. Racism. My friend Zachary did a video recently about the whites protesting that they feel like they're discriminated against more than other races, which is utter bullshit. Whites have it better than all the other races. They have it better than all the other races. I mean, you look at Long Island, the white neighborhoods mostly are well taken care of. Their school districts are good. They're safe. The crime is low. Crime is dealt with swiftly by the police. Quality of life issues are taken care of. But in communities that are not majority white, the quality of life issues get ignored. The guys hanging out on the street, no, the police don't do anything about that. They don't do anything about quality of life issues. Those places don't get the same kind of stores, the same kind of quality stores that white neighborhoods get. So if anyone is getting discriminated more than anyone else, it's blacks, it's Hispanics, it's disabled people, it's lower income people, all right? That's where the discrimination lies. But everybody's so focused, I think, on the race that they're forgetting about the discrimination against the mentally ill, which is an epidemic in this country. And I tell you, I think the mentally ill get discriminated against more than any other group in this country right now. This is like the last frontier, all right? And it's a shame that the media bashes us, paints us in a bad light. It's a shame that the politicians bash us and put us in a bad light. It's a shame that when you go on the internet and you talk about it, you get bashed and put in a bad light. And I'm sure there's going to be quite a few downvotes on this video once again by a bunch of intolerant people, all right? And it's a shame. Most of these people are intolerant, and say what you want about the group of illegal immigrants that have come into this country. They may hang out on the streets, they may drink, and they may cause problems. But I tell you this, I see them help each other a lot too. I always see them help each other. White people, they don't give a shit. I'm sorry, but they don't give a shit. So when it comes to this whole housing thing and what relates to girls, I don't look at white girls. I stopped looking at white girls because after having 3 or 4 of them break my heart and being such bitches to me, I was like, no more white girls for me, right? Because they when you try to talk white girls, they won't even give you the time of day, all right? Most of the women that I've had conversations with that at least view me as a person that's worthy of talking to are not white women, all right? And that's why I've kind of stopped looking at white women because, I see plenty of attractive white women, physically attractive. When it comes to What's up here, it's a lot of them are just airheads. At least here on Long Island. Now, don't be offended. It's not racist. Let's not jump to that. I'm just talking from my point of view here on Long Island, what I've experienced. All right. And when you speak to Asian women or Indian women or Hispanic women or even black women, a lot of them seem to be a lot more interested in having a conversation with you than white women, because the white women sees that I have mental illness. They see that I'm not wearing a suit and tie. I'm not driving a fancy car, and they're like, "See you later." So, that's basically what it is, and it's unfortunate. And then we have this thing where everybody's got to be a white-collar professional to be viewed upon. If somebody wants to drive a bus for a living, there's nothing wrong with that. If somebody wants to have a blue-collar job, there's nothing wrong with that. If somebody's disabled and can't work, whether it's mental or physical, there's nothing wrong with that. All right? It's not being lazy. I didn't choose to have this disease. I was born this way. People don't understand that. I was born this way. It's not my fault. But they don't understand that. They just say, "Oh, well, sorry, if you want to live in a decent part of Long Island, you're going to have to go and get on that train and go into Manhattan and work in an office and go on Wall Street and be a stockbroker and all that stuff to live in those neighborhoods. Sorry, otherwise you're not allowed to. You're not allowed. Sorry, you're not allowed." It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart when these people act like that. All right? Maybe I've ranted about these people a lot, these snobby people, but, they're breaking my heart. Am I not supposed to be quiet as they break my heart, as they take my heart and step on it and humiliate me constantly by saying, "You're not allowed"? All right? It's just not right. I have a broken heart over this. I think the heartbreak of the difficulty of finding an apartment is probably the biggest thing that for me to deal with. It's even bigger than the anxiety and stress of the activity, the bad activity in my town. It's even a bigger thing than that. Because I'll tell you this, Westbury, for all its flaws, Westbury has never hurt my feelings like this. Westbury is a tolerant community, and we do not judge and have this stupid attitude that we don't want people who are poor or disabled in there. Give me a freaking break. We can't help it. We can't help it. All I'm just looking for is an apartment, a legal apartment in a safe neighborhood in a lively town that's close to trains. But sorry, you can't have that. You've got to be rich people. You got to have that rich. You got to be rich. You got to be one of us white-collar professionals. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. Sorry, you're not going to get it. And this is what I'm competing against. And it breaks my heart. It's very upsetting. To deal with this. To deal with this rejection. Rejection is probably one of the most painful feelings you can have. After being rejected, especially so many times, and especially for the same reason over and over again. Well, you don't work. You're mentally ill. You're no good. That's the attitude of these people. You're no good. I'm doing the best I can. Just because I sit here and I make videos and talk to you does not mean that I'm not ill. People think, "Oh, that's a normal guy the way he's talking." It's normal. But you don't see when I'm sick, and I'm not going to show that to you. You're not going to see when I struggle to get to sleep. You're not going to see when my stomach feels like it's going to explode because I'm stressed out. You're not going to see me crying. You're not going to see me spending hours and hours trying to get to sleep because my brain won't shut off. You don't see any of that. And I'm not going to show it to you. Some people, you just can't convince them. No matter what, you can't convince them, and they have this attitude. I just hope that I find, it's almost like looking for a woman. It's like looking for an apartment. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Looking to find a property owner in a decent area that I want to live, that has an open mind, that would rent to me, and would look past the program and look past the mental illness, and just see me as a peaceful, normal, or a peaceful guy who's not going to cause problems and be a good tenant. And that's all the landlord should really care about. A peaceful guy that's not going to cause problems, and that the rent will always be paid on time. And that's all the landlord should care about. They shouldn't care about how much money somebody makes as long as the rent gets paid. But You know, you have a lot of narrow-minded people out there. I've experienced them firsthand. Places like City Data. You can go ahead and go to the City Data Long Island group and see the kind of crap they talk about low-income housing. You can see the kind of crap they talk. All right, on there. And you know, yeah, I do read that forum from time to time because it really shows you the kind of crap and the kind of mentality that goes on Long Island. You can read it. You can just Google City Data Long Island forum, and you can see the kind of crap they put up there about people with mental illness, and people who are disabled, and housing, and discrimination, and all the snooty attitudes that go along with it. You know, I don't want to leave Long Island. It's my home. I love this. There's so much to love about Long Island, and my only family is here. But you know, if it continues down this path, and I pray that my neighborhood stops getting worse and starts going and getting better instead, to take the pressure off. If I find myself living in a town that becomes like Hempstead, and my only option is to leave the island, I'm going to have to do that, and that is the very last resort. I hope and pray Westbury can turn around. You know, there's so much potential in this town for it to be a good place to live. There's no reason for these problems. There's no reason for this ignorance. There's no reason for people to be forgetting about us and neglecting us just because we're not a rich town, just because we're not a majority white town. We're tired of it. We're tired of being put down because of our income, our race, our disability. All right? So I think that's all I'm going to say here in this video about rejection. Lastly, I want to hear in the comments section what kind of rejections you've been through, whether it be woman, whether it be a job, whether it be an apartment. And I definitely want to see a response from PNW or anyone out there who would like to make a video about the experience of rejection and just how heartbreaking it is. Take it easy.